Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for these sheets and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for more friendship next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Donald Duck and Goofy Dog. This doesn't actually complete Sora's trio from Kingdom Hearts, instead it starts the secret fourth trio of Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. I will never finish every team in existence, I will never stop building Kingdom Hearts characters, so the only solution you have is to go play the games, come back, and enjoy the ride.
That's a lot of damage.
We're gonna start off going quackers with Donald Duck, and I'm gonna start off with a little rant because some of y'all are disrespecting this duck. So, first off, he's not a wizard. Get that out of your mind. Wizards can't heal. Theurgy died, but that makes sense. Most religious schools don't focus on education. I know, Donald doesn't heal good. Good joke. Did you write that yourself? You're 2 for 2 on bad decisions so far. Maybe stop being so lippy and you're gonna learn something. You can set your preferences for Donald's casting, so he does literally nothing but heal you in Kingdom Hearts. Donald is mostly a healer if you play the game right. And how often are you healing Donald Duck, huh? How often is your party's mage dead on the ground while you yell at his corpse demanding heals? Maybe you need to show the duck some respect. Second, we need a real reason to respect this duck. How about a spell that only gods can cast? I'm not talking 9th level, we're going further. Finally, elemental spells that power up as we go. That's a little underwhelming after the last goal was break the god with the power of God in anime, but it's what will actually carry us to that point. For stats, we'll be using the standard pointer right from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Wisdom will be number 1. Yeah, that's not intelligence. What, you want to fight about it? Donald doesn't know jack about what's going on before someone tells him, but he's great with animals and healing if you use him right. Strength after that, when you run out of MP, swinging your staff is a solid option. Dexterity next, you're not wearing heavy armor. Hey, you're not even wearing pants. Put on some pants. Intelligence still isn't low. You do know your magic, even if you don't know your heartless stuff right away. Constitution's a bit low. Remember how I said Donald is dead on the floor a lot? Because he doesn't have as much health as Sora, and not nearly as much health as Goofy. We'll dump charisma though. You sound like a cartoon duck, because you are one. But please, don't do a Donald Duck impression at a table. Donald is a duck. Aarakocra are the duck race, giving you +2 dexterity and +1 wisdom, 50 feet of flying speed, which isn't a thing. Donald doesn't fly. You know what? I know this is gonna make some people mad, but Donald doesn't do Aarakocra stuff. He doesn't fly, and he doesn't have claws. He's just bird-shaped. Kenku would work just as well, but custom lineage will actually work best, since that'll give you a feat, like Magic Initiate. Normally, I'd say this is a bad feat, but if you just want a couple of cantrips, it works. We'll grab some cantrips from the Druid list, like Produce Flame, to put a bit of fire in your hand that you can toss at people to deal a D8 of fire damage, or just hold for a light that lets you see in the dark with your weak custom lineage eyes. Shillelagh will help with your weapon attacks, turning a quarterstaff into a shillelagh that deals 1d8 even if you're holding it one-handed, and you get to use your wisdom modifier for attack rolls. Now you can bonk the Heartless, but probably double check it's not your best buddy first. For your 1 first level spell, Ice Knife is a ranged spell attack that deals 1d10 piercing damage and forces a dexterity saving throw on a creature within 5 feet of that, dealing 2d6 cold damage if they fail. You can use this once per day, but it's not actually all that important. We'll get something else in a second. Bump your wisdom with your 2 free points, take animal handling for your skill of choice, but don't use this to try and flirt with a gorilla. Daisy would kill you. That's the only reason you don't flirt with gorillas, apparently. Build your own background for Arcana and Athletics. Sure, magic is your bread and butter, but hammer is a hammer, and sometimes you need to feed people a smack in the face. We're gonna kick things off as a cleric. Yep, I'm doubling down on Donald as a healer because that's how he's most effective. Don't get mad at me because you're bad at Kingdom Hearts. What god do you serve? We're gonna save that for the end. Grab medicine and history for your skills of choice, and the Arcana domain to basically kind of be a wizard, but also kind of a healer. This will let you grab 2 cantrips from the wizard list, like Shocking Grasp to deal 1d8 lightning damage to creatures with a melee spell attack and prevent them from taking reactions, and Ray of Frost to deal 1d8 cold damage with a ranged spell attack that slows a target by 10 feet. So now you've got Blizzard, Thunder, and Fire magic, and all those will scale up with extra damage die at level 5 for Fyra, level 11 for Fyraga, and level 17 for Fyraja, or Blizzaja, or Thundaja. But to cast Cure Wounds. It heals 1d8 plus your Wisdom modifier to a creature you touch, or Healing Word to heal 1d8 plus your Wisdom modifier as a bonus action to a creature within 60 feet of you if you need to go a little bit faster and heal someone further away. Shield of Faith adds 2 to a creature's AC for a little arrow defense for 10 minutes, depending on your concentration. Protection from evil and good gives aberrations, celestials, elementals, fiends, fae, and undead disadvantage on attacks against your buddy, and they can't charm, possess, or frighten them either. 90% of what you're fighting falls into that category, so it's also great at protecting people like Arrow. Back to cantrips though. Guidance and Resistance give a creature a d4 to add to ability checks or saving throws respectively, and Spare the Dying stops a creature from rolling death saving throws. There's really only one fight in Kingdom Hearts where characters actually die. Obviously, Donald is busy keeping Goofy from fully dying. Do you want Goofy to die? Again? Second level clerics get to channel divinity once per short rest. All of them can turn undead. undead, forcing undead creatures to make a wisdom saving throw or dash away from you with their action. I don't think the Heartless are undead, but the nobodies would be. Get them out of there, they're harder to fight than the Heartless. Arcana Domain get ways to handle Celestials, Elementals, Fiends, and Fae with Arcane Abjuration, turning one of those creatures types the same way Turn Undead does. Why fight the Heartless when you can just run? Well, it's kind of fun. 3rd level Clerics get 2nd level spells. Hold Person lets you stop a humanoid, forcing a wisdom saving throw on them and paralyzing them if they fail for a minute depending on your concentration, letting all of your allies critically hit and watch the damage stack real fast. It only works on humanoids, but you fight Captain Hook, and this will make the easy fight even easier. 4th level Clerics get an ability score improvement. Round up your wisdom and dexterity. There's no reason to have odd numbers unless you like suffering. Actually, Kingdom Hearts fans have to love suffering. The ending of all of the games except for 1, 2, and Dream Drop are pure suffering. 5th level Clerics get Destroy Undead, upgrading their Turn Undead by fully killing creatures of challenge rating 1/2 or lower, and your Abjuration from Arcana Domain banishes creatures of 1/2 or lower. So either way, you're going to be able to get rid of the baddies. You can also learn 3rd level spells like Mass Healing Word, healing up to 6 creatures with a D4 plus your Wisdom modifier as a bonus action. Now you can heal Sora, Goofy, Buzz, Woody, and Sephiroth. Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be sick, trust me. 6th level Clerics get to Channel Divinity twice per long rest, and Arcana Clerics get Spellbreaker, letting you remove the effect of a spell on a creature when you heal them. The spell has to be of a level equal to the spell you cast, but with Mask Cure Wounds, that's clearing the whole party of slow, bestowed curses. You can make sure the darkness isn't getting to your buddies. Remember, the gummy ship runs on happy faces. 7th level Clerics can learn 4th level spells. Death Ward will let you go once more, leaving a creature with 1 HP instead of 0 the first time they should die in the next 8 hours, giving you enough time to get the heal off. 8th level Clerics get another ability score improvement. Let's cap off our Wisdom modifier, which pairs very well with potent spellcasting, letting you add your Wisdom modifier to the damage of your cantrips. That's a Thunder and Blizzard boost, but it won't work on Produce Flame since that's technically coming from the Druid list. Maybe grab Sacred Flame instead. It deals radiant damage and ignores cover. It's not the fire I'd imagine from Kingdom Hearts, but it has flame in the name, bars. You're also destroying undead of challenge rating 1 or lower now, letting you fully delete some nobodies, probably no organization members though. 9th level Clerics get 5th level spells. It truly bothers me that Hold Monster isn't on the Cleric list, but Hold Person is. Whatever. Mask Cure Wounds heals 6 creatures 3d8 plus your Wisdom modifier as an action and clears any negative spell effects of 5th level or lower thanks to the Arcana Domain. That's some AoE Curaga if I've ever seen it. I was worried that your elemental magic doesn't require spell slots, but your healing does, but then I realized healing costs way more MP in Kingdom Hearts, so relatively wise, it makes sense. Flame Strike creates a column of light with a 10-foot radius and 40 feet of height, forcing a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 4d6 fire and 4d6 radiant damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed for a little low-level combat action, power of the stars and whatnot. 10th level Clerics get Divine Intervention, letting you ask a god for help. Roll a d100. If you roll lower than your cleric level, your god intervenes in a way your DM sees fit. If you fail to get the help, you can try again tomorrow, otherwise you can try again in 7 days. This would let you cast a spell stronger than anything anyone has ever seen before. Time to talk about who your god is. In Final Fantasy, the strongest spell is Terra Flare, cast by Bahamut. Bahamut is a dragon god in Dungeons & Dragons, so it works out pretty nicely that Bahamut would be Donald's god of choice, right? Wrong. Donald Duck casts Zeta Flare, which would be 1 billion times stronger than Terra Flare. So either Donald Duck is a god or could kill God, and I do not care if there is a difference. 11th level Clerics gets 6th level spells. Heal heals a creature 70 HP and cures diseases. Harm deals 14d6 necrotic damage to a creature that fails a Constitution saving throw. It can't kill them, but it reduces their HP total if they fail as well, so it's like Gravity, dealing damage but never killing. Oh, and your Kill Undead works on challenge rating 2 or lower if you do want to kill things that are already dead. 12th level Clerics get an ability score improvement to our feat. Warcaster lets you cast your spells with both of your hands busy. You have advantage on concentration saves and can cast a spell as an opportunity attack as long as it only targets 1 creature, so now that Heartless can't run away. Unless you're abjuring them, then they can, but then you want them to. 13th level Clerics get 7th level spells. Firestorm creates 10 by 10 foot panels that touch each other. Each one forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 7d10 fire damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. That's a Duck Flare. Ooh! 14th level Clerics now are destroying undead of challenge rating 3 or lower. Reflavor this as some lightning, fire, or frost, just melting them down. I think that's more appropriate for an Arcana Domain Cleric anyway. 15th level Clerics can learn 8th level spells. Sunburst is a decent alternative for Mega Flare when you're not feeling like using your full god powers, forcing a Constitution saving throw on creatures in a 60-foot radius sphere, dealing 12d6 radiant damage to those that fail, and blinding them for a minute, no blinding and half damage if they succeed. 16th level Clerics get another ability score improvement or feat. Elemental Adept for fire will be my pick, letting you ignore resistance to fire damage and treat the ones you roll rolling your damage die as 2s. It's nice for you to produce flame since that's not getting the same buff your other cantrips do, but it will get even better next level. That's because 17th level Arcana Clerics get Arcane Mastery, giving you 4 spells from the wizard list, one of the 6th level, one of the 7th level, one of the 8th level, and one of the 9th level. Let's start with 9th because obviously that's the most fun. Meteor Swarm forces a dexterity saving throw in a 40-foot radius sphere, dealing 20d6 fire damage and 20d6 bludgeoning damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. With Elemental Depth, that's a minimum of 20 fire damage on a successful save, 40 fire damage on a failed one, and 20d6 bludgeoning damage on top of that in a massive area. It's maybe the most deadly spell in the game, and it'll make you deadlier. Keep in mind, Donald Duck is a speedrunning god. Power Word Stun literally stuns a creature with 150 HP or fewer. They can try to unstun themselves on their turns with a Constitution saving throw against your capped modifier, but that would be hard for them to make. The HP cap makes this stop a little less effective on some bosses, but it weirdly works on Dragon Maleficent, so go for that. Gravity also works on Maleficent, so Reverse Gravity should too. Reversing the gravity in a 50-foot radius, 100-foot high cylinder that sends creatures up unless they have something to grab onto, and then they can make a dexterity saving throw. That's a big if though, otherwise they hit the ceiling hard. Finally, Chain Lightning forces a dexterity saving throw on a creature within 150 feet of you and 3 creatures within 30 feet of them, dealing 10d8 lightning damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. So boom, we've got a big Thundaga spell now. Oh, and you can learn a 9th level cleric spell like Mass Heal to heal up to 700 HP to creatures within 60 feet of you. Most Kiragas give everyone full health. Spoilers for the Goofy section, he'll have a lot of HP, but it's still not going to be 700. 18th level clerics can channel divinity 3 times per short rest. It's pretty simple, but I like that. It makes up for the complications from the 17th level of Arcana domain. 19th level clerics get our last ability score improvement or feat. The spell Sniper feat lets you ignore all but full cover with spell attacks, and you can double your range with spell attacks. You can also learn one more cantrip from any list, but since your wisdom is the only good casting modifier, I guess we'll just grab Thorn Whip. I just wanted the first 2 things, but sure. Give the God Duck a grapple combo. Our capstone is the 20th level of cleric for Divine Intervention improvement, meaning your god powers succeed automatically. You just have to wait 7 days before flexing on every other god in the Final Fantasy pantheon again. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, God. It's a little relative, but since your DM decides it, I guess they could be a stinker and give you something weak, but in my game, Zeta Flare will turn you into a Duck Death Star. A Duck Star! You also have consistent damage with tons of variety and extra damage from your cantrip, so you can exploit enemy vulnerability. Pro Kingdom Hearts tip, hit the red stuff with blue stuff, and the blue stuff with the red stuff. Brilliant. Finally, you can heal. Healing is really good, and Donald Duck is a really good healer. Again, you're just wrong. Speaking of wrong, you're also going to be wrong, with a lot of wisdom being your only good ability score. Your channel divinities are also limited to certain types of creatures, so beasts, dragons, and several others will just be immune. Finally, you're squishy, with barely over 100 HP if you're lucky. Of course, that frailness issue could be solved pretty easily if you just had someone up front soaking up the damage. Someone loyal, tough, and with a massive shield. Maybe like a Dog Knight? I guess that sounds a little silly.
Wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside. Save me.
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, you need a big green bar, and I'm not talking about mint flavored Kit Kats, I'm talking about HP. Next, we need to give one for all, taking hits for our friends with all our might. Deku. Finally, we'll make sure that we can charge in with an ability to put our head down and blast forward. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multiclassing minimums in mind. Constitution will be number 1. Goofy doesn't die. You might think he does, but he doesn't. He's too thick. Strength next. That's the other part of being thick. You have to have muscle to bash the heartless around. Dexterity after that, you tend to keep things light, and not just because your name is synonymous with a good time. Follow that up with charisma. Goofy is canonically one of the few Disney characters with a child. That implies some things. It shouldn't be a surprise. He's extremely kind, dim-witted, and strong. Goofy is a himbo. You're just too cowardly to admit it. Wisdom is a bit low. You're not great at noticing things and will dump intelligence. Goofy is a himbo. It's like a deal with the devil to get hotter. You just have to lose a bit of brain power. There still isn't a dog race, so if you want to be a humanoid dog, not a canine dog like Pluto, you gotta go custom lineage. That'll give you a feat like Tavern Brawler, letting you increase your strength or constitution by 1. We're gonna go constitution. You can deal 1d4 damage with an unarmed attack, grapple someone as a bonus action after you make an unarmed attack or improvised weapon attack as an action, and you're proficient with improvised weapons. There's not another way to attack with a shield, so your DM will have to decide what kind of damage it does. I think a d8 of bludgeoning sounds reasonable, since you could effectively do the same thing one-handing a warhammer. Though actually, let's call it a d6 6 and give it the thrown property. Hopefully your DM is cool with that. Otherwise, just get a light hammer and know in your own head that you're eating the shield. Bump your constitution with your 2 free points for constitution that's at 18 at level 1. Grab Arcana for your skill of choice to maybe understand a bit of lore, and build your own background for animal handling and persuasion. You're great at getting along with everyone. Humans, beasts, humanoid beasts. You're covering your bases. We'll kick things off as a fighter, letting you grab 2 skills from the fighter list like athletics and acrobatics for some physical skills. Obviously you can lift, but you can also do wild tornado jumps. That's gotta be acrobatics. You get a fighting style. Protection lets you force disadvantage on a creature attacking a buddy within 5 feet of you. Sora is like 13 in the first game. Do not let people hit that kid. You also get second wind, letting you heal 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per short rest, helping you come back quicker. That's some hyper healing, if I've ever seen it. Second level fighters get action surge, letting you make 2 actions in 1 turn once per short rest. I don't really know how to do a tornado other than like lots of hits, so we're gonna get as many hits as possible. Third level fighters can choose a martial archetype. Cavaliers are dad fighters, and Goofy is the best dad. If you want to sing your son a song on a road trip, you can scoop up performance to really nail those high notes. The main draw at this level is Unwavering Mark, letting you mark a creature you hit with a weapon attack, giving them disadvantage on attacks against creatures within 5 feet of you. If they do manage to hit Sora or Donald, you can hit them with a bonus action attack next turn and deal extra damage equal to half your fighter level. Nobody attacks your friends. You're also born to the saddle, giving you advantage on saving throws against falling off your mount, and you can mount a creature with 5 feet of movement instead of half your movement. This ability makes people think that this is only for mounted fighters, but it's literally the only thing specifically for a mounted fighter in the class. This is the dad fighter. 4th level fighters get an ability score improvement or a feat. We're gonna stick with Constitution, capping it off for a massive +5 modifier to your health before you even roll a die every time you level up. Your HP bar is going off the screen, and we're not even done. 5th level fighters get an extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action, or up to 4 with an action surge. Heck, if they were foolish enough to mess with your friends, you can even open up the full fury of Goofy with 5 attacks. Goofy is just a name after all. If characters have to live up to their names, I would hate Donald. 6th level fighters get another ability score improvement or a feat. The tough feat gives you +2 HP for every level you have and every level you get. If you mark people to hit you instead of your friends, you have to be able to take a hit. We're gonna bounce over to Barbrarian now to be even better at taking a hit with the ability Rage, letting you give yourself resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, extra damage to your strength-based attacks, and advantage on strength checks and saves for a minute at a time. Most fights in Kingdom Hearts are pretty quick. I don't actually know how long the games are supposed to be in real time. I just know the gaps. Are save points long rests? Anyway, Goofy doesn't wear armor outside of the first cutscene he's in during Kingdom Hearts 1, so unarmored defense will make your AC 10 plus your dexterity and constitution modifiers when you're not wearing armor. Important note, barbarians can still use shields with their unarmored defense. Just because you can absorb a lot of damage doesn't mean you have to. 2nd level barbarians get reckless attacks, giving you advantage on attacks against creatures if you give them advantage to hit you. If marking them wasn't good enough to get them to target you, this ought to do it. But if you just want Donald to use Mega Flare without feeling guilty, enjoy Danger Sense, giving you advantage on dexterity saving throws against spells you can see. 3rd level barbarians can choose a primal path. Bear Totem is the one you go for when you're an immortal cartoon that can never die. It gives you resistance to every type of damage except psychic while you're raging, so you can effectively just double your unfathomably large HP total. That is all I want from Barbarian, so we're gonna jump back over to Fighter for Warding Maneuver from Cavalier level 7, letting you use your reaction to roll a d8 and add it to the AC of a creature within 5 feet of you or yourself. Even if the attack gets through, the person you're protecting gets resistance to the damage. Unfortunately, this can't stack with Bear Totem, so save your 5 uses of these for Sora or Donald, or Mickey, or Jason Voorhees. I don't know what your home party looks like, but if someone's playing Jason, you don't need 2 tanks. Maybe roll up the duck. 8th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Start working on that strength score to actually deal some damage to the Heartless. Not your main job, but definitely a fine thing to do. 9th level fighters get Indomitable, letting you reroll a failed saving throw once per long rest. You can even use this on death saving throws, so if you take a boulder to the head, you can come back even bolder than ever. 10th level Cavaliers get Hold the Line, letting you make an opportunity attack against creatures whenever they move within 5 feet of you, and creatures you hit with opportunity attacks have their speed drop to 0 when they crash into the mighty wall of goof. 11th level fighters get another extra attack, letting you make 3 attacks with your round or 6 with an action surge to turn into a force of nature, specifically a tornado. 12th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Keep pushing that strength up, so each hit of the tornado deals a bit more damage. 13th level fighters get another use of Indomitable. You don't have to die, maybe just use this to get out of the way when Donald decides to unload the full power of the cosmos. 14th level fighters get another ability score improvement. If you want a lot of stats, there's no better class than fighter, and there's no better fighter than Sir George E. Geef. That's Goofy. Cap your strength. 15th level Cavaliers are ferocious chargers, meaning that if you moved 10 feet in a straight line, you can force a strength saving throw on a creature you hit, knocking them prone if they fail, giving giving everyone advantage on melee attacks against them until they stand up. You're probably going to have 2 more attacks left after this, or maybe even 5 if you want to continue to kick your enemies on the ground. Thank goodness your enemies are forces of pure corruption, otherwise that would feel a little non-Disney. 16th level fighters get another ability score improvement or feat. We'll grab the Resilient feat for our dexterity, rounding that score up for better AC and giving you proficiency with a saving throw to take better advantage on Danger Sense and Indomitable. Our capstone is the 17th level of fighter to get a 3rd use of Indomitable and a 2nd use of Action Surge. You might not have a lot of MP, but you can empty the bar to spin to win, the ultimate combat technique. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you are beefy with over 250 HP, resistance to virtually all damage for 3 minutes a day, wasted deflect damage 5 times a day from warding maneuver, and Indomitable to reroll saving throws. You're also good at protecting your friends, imposing disadvantage on attacks against them, adding to their AC, or just distracting the enemies while they dish out the damage. Finally, you can deal some consistent damage with 3 attacks per round and a capped modifier to contribute plenty of damage to the bosses yourself. For weaknesses, you don't have any magical damage, which could be an issue fighting beings made of pure darkness. You're also lacking soft stats, so enemy mages could be a real problem for you. Finally, improvised weapons depend on the DM. The minimum is a D4, but if you're a fighter using a D4 for damage die for no reason other than flavor, you're not going to have a lot of fun. Thankfully, all you need to have fun is your friends. Raise the shield, keep your friends safe, and spin to win. Just make sure to give the mage a potion every now and then. Getting killed by a lich isn't a very goofy situation. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We're making double videos every day this month. Join the Patreon for these sheets and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango to watch us play some Kingdom Hearts.